Hello everybody, my name is John, and in this video I'm going to be speaking with you about the hotshot industry, and I'm going to break it down into three basic categories. The first is for the people that are looking to get into hotshot, and then some of the most common question I get from them is on equipment purchase and what type of equipment to get. The second is the people that's already purchased their equipment and they're in the process of getting their MC and DOT number, or running authority as it is called, and they have questions about vehicle maintenance and various different things about that. And the last is the people that's actually purchased their equipment, they have their MC and DOT numbers, and they're actually out there running loads. So first off, let's get into the people that are looking to purchase their equipment. The most common question I get is trailer type. What type of trailer to get? Now, gooseneck trailers are basically that you get two different types of braking systems, and that's where it boils down to is your braking system. You have the electric brakes and you have electric over hydraulic. Now, your electric brake is typically going to be your drum system, your drum brake system. And the electric over hydraulic is your disc brake system. And so the way the electric brake works is inside of the drum on your trailer, you have a magnet. And the magnet is connected to an actuator arm, which is connected to your brake pad. So when you compress your brake pedal inside of your truck, it sends a signal to that magnet, which pushes that actuator arm, and that compresses your brake pads against your drum, and that's what stops your vehicle. Now, the electric over hydraulic, that one works is when you compress your brake pedal inside of your truck, it sends a signal to a pump on that trailer, and inside that pump is brake fluid connected to your brake lines. It forces your brake fluid through your brake lines to your caliper, and that compresses your brake pads against that disc, and that's what stops your vehicle. Now, of the two, my personal preference is electric over hydraulic. I think it's just a better system. I like the ease of working on a disc brake system versus the drum brake system. I think it's easier to work on, easier to maintenance, and I think the braking is actually more accurate on the electric over hydraulic. So my personal preference is electric over hydraulic. Not to say that electric brake won't work for you, it's just my preference is electric over hydraulic. Now, you as far as what type of trailer to get, PJ and Big Tex is going to be your main two brands. I've had both of them. I like the PJ trailer. I think it's just more durable. And as far as trailer length, the more deck space you have, the more money you can make. If you get a 32-foot trailer and you have a load that's your full trailer length and you have 32 feet covered, well, on a 40-foot trailer you have 8 more feet of deck space. So if that load is paying $1,000, well, that same $1,000 load has you have an extra 8 feet on that 40-foot trailer. Well, that could be the difference between making $1,000 and making $1,400. So if you have the option, go ahead and get a 40-foot trailer. It's going to pay you more for the 40-foot trailer. Now, then we have the people that has actually purchased their equipment. And let me say this before I move on. You think of this is where you need to really do your homework and do your research, because you're about to purchase anywhere from $30,000-$40,000 up to $80,000-$90,000 worth of equipment, and you need to make sure that you're getting something that you're getting the right equipment, the equipment that's going to serve the purpose that you're even getting in the hotshot for. So consider that while you're making your decision as far as your trucks and trailers. Now, the people that's purchased their truck and trailer, some of the things that I get from these men and women because there are some ladies out there that's in the hotshot business, just trying to make a living for their family as well. Is the running in Texas as a hotshot driver with your own MC and DOT number, your own running authority. In addition to that, the being at home daily. So I'll tackle those two. I call myths. They are myths that you can actually run in Texas only as a hotshot driver and make your money. Now the disclaimer, it's just not realistic. The disclaimer is if you have your own customers. Now if you have your own customers, yeah, you can run in Texas with your own customers. Even with that, there are some drawbacks, and I'll speak a little bit to that as well. But it's just difficult to run in Texas only as a hotshot driver without having your own customers, because if you don't have your own customers, you're running off the load board, and there's just not enough freight there spread out across Texas for you to be able to make enough money as a hotshot driver running running in Texas only. And here's the reason why. Say you pick Dallas and Houston is going to be your main hubs for freight in Texas. San Antonio as well. You get some freight in San Antonio. But those are going to be the main two spots you get your freight from. And unless you're running to one or the other, you're going to have to run freight from one or the other to another place in Texas where you might not be able to get a load out of there. So say you pick up a load in San Antonio and you run that load to Amarillo. That's great. It may be a great paying load for the miles you'll run from San Antonio to Amarillo. But the chances of you getting a load out of Amarillo back to San Antonio is just slim to none. Now, I mean, it's difficult to get loads out of Amarillo for a flatbed or a RGN or drive-in for a semi, let alone a hot shot. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to deadhead. You're going to have to drive somewhere where you can get a load, and more than likely that's going to be Dallas. Definitely not New Mexico. Maybe Oklahoma City, but you're going to have to deadhead there. So it's you make your money on one end, but you lose it on the other. So it's just difficult to run in Texas only without your own customers and make a decent paycheck. And say you run from Dallas to Houston, well, what's that load pay? $400-500 maybe, and if you do, well, it may be a good paying load for that run, but that's the only thing that you run for that day, because by the time you fight Houston traffic, get loaded, fight Houston traffic, getting out of there, get to Dallas, fight Dallas traffic, getting it to where it needs to go, and getting unloaded, you've burned a day, and so for a $400 or $500 load, and you just can't make a living doing that. And as far as being home every day, this is the way I try to frame this. And I know where this stuff comes from. Where these notions that you're going to get in, you can run Texas, be home, and you can make a ton of money, it comes from people that have told you that, hey, you go out and buy you a truck and trailer, you can get in the house out business, you can make a ton of money. Money just fall out of the sky. That's just the way it works. And it's just not true. And so this is the way I try to frame these. I try to walk guys through this stuff so that they can be prepared for the reality. Because what people are told before they get in the hot shot and the reality don't jive. It just doesn't work the way people are told. As far as being home, this is the way I try to frame this question. Being home every day. Say you catch a load from East Texas or Dallas or Houston or wherever. It's at Beaumont. Say you catch a load from Beaumont and you take that load to El Paso, Texas. Once you drop in El Paso, Texas, you're closer to Los Angeles, California than Beaumont, Texas. From El Paso, you can get to Los Angeles, California quicker than you can get to Beaumont, Texas. You're not going to be home the same day, is basically what I'm telling you. It's just not realistic. And unless the disclaimer is if you have local customers and you're running like a courier service. You're running right there in your own city. But even if you do that, what's that load pay? A load in San Antonio running somewhere in San Antonio or close by to where you're going to just drive back to San Antonio if it's somewhere outside of San Antonio, $200 or $300 maybe. Well, that's just not enough for you to make a living. Now, for some people, that may be enough to get them by at the end of the week. You pay your bills, and that may be all you want. But in order to make a significant amount of money, it's just not going to work. It's just not a realistic plan. Now, the second thing for the people that's purchased their own equipment and now they're in the process of getting their MC or their running authority is your paperwork. You have to make sure that you have your paperwork, and if you're going to do this, here's what I advise guys to do. Once you know that you're going to purchase this truck and trailer, or you've already purchased it, go ahead and fill out your account for your IFTA, but especially if you're going to run across state line. If you're going to run interstate, go ahead and file that application for your IFTA, because that's a 3-week process. And if you wait until you've gotten your authority and now you got everything ready, well, you're going to need those IFTA stickers to run. And until you get that, you can only run in Texas. And so go ahead and start that process, because it's a 3-week process. And by the time you get your running authority in the mail, you'll have your IFTA stickers in the mail as well, and you're ready to go. And so go ahead and do that. Make sure you have your paperwork, that running authority in your truck, your insurance, your DOT inspections for your truck, DOT inspection for your trailer, registration for your truck, your registration for your trailer, your cab card, of course, cab cards, registration for your truck, and also your IFTA license. Make sure you have a copy of that. And one of the situations I ran into, this is just, it's just you run into things that you don't know. And I think it was Oklahoma. I went into a scale, and they was checking my paperwork, and he asked me for my lease agreement. So you're technically supposed to have a lease agreement for your own company, because you're basically a driver. If your company is an LLC, you're a driver for that LLC, and you're supposed to have a contract. It's rare that you run into stuff like that, but it's still good to know. It's a few pieces of paper, and it can save you for. I didn't get a DOT violation for it, but you can, so you want to be prepared. Also, learn to take care of your equipment. If you bought this expensive piece of equipment, and now you have to, if you're not mechanically inclined, you're going to have to learn how to maintenance this truck and this trailer, because it's unlike a personal vehicle where you run 16, 17, 20,000 miles a year. We're talking 80, 90, north of 100,000 miles in a year. And not only running that many miles, but pulling a 8,000 pound trailer and 15,000 pound loads. That truck is working, and so you want to make sure you take care of that equipment, because if you run that, say you bought that truck this month in May of 2019. Well, if you put 100,000 miles on this $60,000 truck in a year, well, in May of 2020, that $60,000 truck is worth how much now? So you're upside down on this truck. So make sure that you take care of your equipment, because once that thing starts breaking down, you don't have the option to just turn around, okay, well, I've paid this thing down in a year to where I can go trade it in and get another. It's just the value is gone, in other words. So make sure you take care. Learn how to change your oil regularly. Your fuel filters, you're going through a ton of fuel, so make sure your fuel filters are changed regularly. Your trailer, make sure your hubs are oil. Learn how to oil your hubs. And also check your seals on the backside of that hub assembly is where your seals sit, and that's the only thing keeping your gear oil in that hub. And it's a hub that's spinning on that spindle, and it's the only thing stopping that gear oil from running out. So over time that thing wears out, and if you start losing gear oil, and if you're not checking that that gear oil, you're spending $2,000 to $3,500 on an axle. So check that, and you can look on the back side of that tire. Get down there and look on the back side of that tire and see if there's any liquid on there. Then you'll know that your seal is either wore out or it's getting to the point where it needs to be changed. And if you're checking your gear oil while you're doing your pre-trip on your truck, then you'll catch that kind of stuff. Make sure that that's good. For me personally, what I've learned over the years is that I started using grease in my hub assembly along with gear oil. It just makes a thicker solution with that grease, good royal purple grease or a good grease that puts in there, and it mixes with that 90 weight. It makes a thicker solution and makes it more difficult to bypass that seal. I just learned over the years that it's less breakdowns. I got a whole lot less breakdowns once I started doing that. Now that's my personal preference. I'm not telling you that's what you go out and do, but it's worked for me, and that's what I do on my trailers. Now last is the guys that's purchased their truck and trailer. They have their own running authority, and they're actually out there pulling loads. And now that you're in this business, you have come to terms with the fact that for the people, especially for the people has been told, hey, go get this truck and trailer, you're just gonna go out there, you're gonna make a ton of money, it's gonna be all great, and you've learned that that's just not true, and now you're coming to grips with the reality of the business that you're in, and it's not easy. I remember when I first got in the hot shot years ago, and I was out there and I was running loads, and I just gotten out there, and you run into situations and you run into circumstances, especially with your truck, your trailer, that you just don't know. And I had nobody to turn to. So what I've done is over I guess about 2 years now, I've been running a dispatch service, and I like being able to help guys to get over that hurdle of this thing is new to me and it's a huge learning curve. And it's unlike just a regular business. Well, okay, well, it didn't work. There was no overhead, so I'll just go to something else. Well, it's different. You have some expensive equipment, and you have to have the resolve in your mind to overcome the obstacles you're going to face in order to make this thing work. Because you can't just take that truck and trailer back and say, hey, I made a mistake. This ain't for me. I want to do a redo. It doesn't work like that. And so I help guys get. I had a guy called me, and he's asking me his questions, and I'm not even dispatching him. So I'm like, you calling me and you're asking me these questions, and I'm not even dispatching you, but I help them because I know how it was when I was out there and I was first getting into it. I had some questions I had nobody to turn to. It's a huge blind spot for a lot of guys, and so I got into it, and now I do this to be able to help guys to overcome some of the things that they face out there. So it's just not a whole lot that I haven't ran into as a hot shot driver when I was driving. Circumstances, situation, and it put guys at ease when I can tell them, hey, okay, well, you're going to this place in Nashville, Tennessee, go here, or this is what you look for, and they realize that I'm not just telling them from something I Google. It's personal experiences that they know these are things that I've been through, and it puts them at ease, and knowing that they have somebody that they can call and try to walk them through whatever it is that they're facing. Because a lot of dispatch services out there, you have people that never drove. They have no clue what you're experiencing out there. So that's what I do. Now, when I first started out, I was running and I was trying to dispatch my own loads. And I know that's the first thing that comes to a lot of people's mind is they don't want to pay for a dispatch service. They would rather just book their own loads. Well, then they come to grips, well, just like I did, that just doesn't work. And the reason why is because you're working off the load board. Unless you have your own personal customers, which, I mean, it's rare that you're going to go in this thing with customers already. So you're working off the load board, and the way that load board works is at any given place that you're at that you get unloaded, there's going to be other hotshot trucks there, and with those other hotshot trucks, it's going to be dispatch service that's dispatching those trucks. And so, who do you think have the advantage? You driving, or that dispatch service that's dispatching the truck that's in that area for them? Well, the way that load board works is when a load comes up on that board, especially if it's a decent paying load, boom, it's gone that quick. It's gone. And if a dispatcher, as a dispatcher, if I get up to go to the kitchen to make a sandwich, and I may miss that one load that would get you out of that area and to keep you running until the next day or the next day or whenever, it's gone. And that may be the difference between you sitting in a location and you getting loaded and getting out of there. And so if you're driving, you're not going to get that load because you're not in front of the computer. You have to wait till you get unloaded, get somewhere, get out your laptop, and get on the load board or your tablet or whatever, and then start looking. Well, by that time, those loads are gone. It's rare that you'll be able to book your own load unless, now some guys, they have their wife with them, or vice versa. The wife has their husband with them, and they have the option of somebody looking for those loads for them. But if you're going to stay running and good paying loads, you're going to have to be in front of that load board. And so not only that, dispatching the guys that need dispatching, I also help guys that actually trying to learn the business and run into things that they just don't have the knowledge or the know-how, and they need somebody to answer some questions for them. So if that's where you're at, or you've ran through 2 or 3 dispatch services and it's just not working for you, because a lot of dispatch services, they have people that's never driven, so they don't have a clue. And then that's where I come in at. We do charge 6 to 8% depending on your hot shot or semi. We dispatch flatbeds, RGNs, dry vans, whatever. We dispatch those as well. It's a simple packet. You fill that packet out, you get it back to me, we get it set up in our system, and you're ready to dispatch from there. And at that point, if you have anything, you run into something, a question you have, just give me a call. I help guys all the time. That's what I do. That's what I like doing, because I want to see guys succeed. And not only that, to be able to get to the point where they're ready to take that next step, which is leasing guys on, leasing somebody on, bringing on another truck, trailer, and growing from there to the point where they maybe have the vision, or somewhere down the road, their plan is to be able to get out of that truck and run their own trucks. And so if that's where you're at, we can definitely help you. I'll put the link to the website. You go on that website, there's an application on there, or a packet rather, that you fill out, you send that back to me, we can set up in our system and you're ready to dispatch. Or if you want to email me, john@bstlogistics.solutions, and I will email you a packet. Fill that out and get that back to me, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
I'ma follow the Messiah till the day I die.